right, we are live. Let's just make sure the audio is good real quick. See if it works for you as well. Audio good real quick. All right, yep, you can be heard.
All right, you hear me?
All right, so this is a little bit of a roundtable. If we start getting people, we'll start doing Q&As. But first, I guess let's talk about what you think One Pride 40, a good old subscriber who happens to be in every live stream. So what do you think is going to happen in this Commanders versus Lions game? Maybe your thoughts on the injury reports and just everything in general about the Washington game.
At first, it was a little bit concerning at first, but when you're saying all these veterans are having rest days, I think we'll be relatively healthy coming into the Washington game, and we should probably have a bounce back game from the Eagles.
Yeah, very much so. And I guess say the team's healthy. The only player we don't have that will not play is Tommy Kramer because he's the only one who's on IR.
Right, and Big B.
Yeah. And so, I mean, out of players that we thought we were going to get into week 2. So,
right,
just technically Kramer's out for IR. So, say Brocker's healthy, Decker healthy, Jackson healthy, Swift healthy, and Ragnar healthy. What do you think? How do you think the game goes? What's the score?
We dominate. I think we 31-17. I think.
Oh yeah, you agree with that prediction, eh?
Yep. Hush to have 2 to 3 sacks.
Oh, that's bold.
Because he's already, everyone's saying he's a bust already. And if he breaks out, they're going to be saying his praises.
Actually, no. I'd tell you what they'll say if he breaks out. They'll say, "Oh, it's just Washington." That's what they'll just say.
Really?
Oh yeah, the anti-Hutch crowd is a very odd group. They keep saying he doesn't have pass rush moves. Every scout praised him because he had pass rush moves coming out of college. And
Right.
he was this technical guy. He was athletic, but not quite as athletic as Trayvon Walker, but he was good and technical.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll hate him for anything. If he has one bad game, they'll go right at him. Especially if you think about the same old Lions crowd. If anyone even has a bad quarter or a bad play or two, it's like, oh, this player sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So with Hutch, they'll just say, oh, it's just Washington. He can't do well versus good tackles or whatever. But even then, I'll give Hutch just excuses. Well, he was close on a couple times to actually get a sack, but Jalen Hurts just straight up
Ran out.
Run up in their hole.
Yup. But I will say, though, not many quarterbacks are as mobile as Jalen Hurts, but probably a few are like that. Lamar being one of them, and Josh Allen.
Yeah. Well, and ironically, I don't know if you've heard this, but we are also favored to win this game. The first time in 24 games that we are bet to win on. I don't know if you've heard that news, but that's just crazy to me that even the bettors have confidence. ESPN doesn't apparently have confidence in us. They give Washington 55.8% chance to win, but that is that.
Haters.
So Washington also does have. So while a lot of people are concerned about our injuries as they're being questionable, Washington has lost their rotational pass rusher / run stuffer Phildarian Mathis. Their offensive guard Trey Turner is questionable with the same injury that Decker has. Jermaine Curl is still going to play. Might play. He might be coming back from a hand surgery that he's had. Ryan Robinson got shot, so probably won't be playing for a good while.
Mm-hmm.
And Cole Holmcomb, their starting linebacker and arguably their best linebacker, is injured. And there's more on the injury report, but Jonathan Allen's getting an MRI on his ankle. Yeah, it's a groin actually, so they're going to do an MRI, so he might be out too. So Washington also has itself a pretty bad injury report. They might be losing their best defensive player left after Chase Young's injury with Jonathan Allen. They already lost Chase Young, then they also have questionables in Trey Turner and Cole Holcomb and Jermaine Curl, and they already have guaranteed out for Darian Mathis as well. So it's not like we're the only team that's injured here. I don't know why people are freaking out over the injuries too much, considering the fact that almost none of them are even like guaranteed out. Only one guy is a guaranteed out.
And that'd be Levi.
Levi's already been in IR. I mean, guys that we thought we were having in this game. New injuries. So Brockers, Decker, Jackson, Kramer, and Swift are new injuries. But I think all of them play, honestly.
Ah, okay.
Brockers might as well be injured because he's a ghost, so won't do anything. There's actually a little bit of a comparison here, just for our leaders here. So Carson Wentz has more yards and more touchdowns. He did have more attempts, but he does have more interceptions. So kind of a little bit of a comparison there at the quarterback spot. Granted, there is differences of Jared Goff faced the Philadelphia Eagles, Carson Wentz faced the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he struggled in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
DeAndre Swift had a way better day than Antonio Gibson on one more carry, so not even an excuse about that. And he faced the harder defense. He had 15 carries, 144 yards, and one touchdown, and had 9.6 yards per carry.
He had a good day.
Oh yeah, and ironically, this is very similar to how we kind of were last year. Their leading receiver is actually running back Antonio Gibson with 7 catches for 72 yards.
Really? McLaurin's not their leading receiver?
I'm pretty sure he had a big 24-yard touchdown the other day.
Ah, okay.
And then the leader in receiving yards is for us is Amon-Ra St. Brown with 8 catches, 64 yards, and 1 touchdown. So this is just week 1 stats. Of course, none of these are probably going to end up being end season true. Besides these guys being our leaders for stuff, it's not like anyone's going to really short anything. We are hoping to keep our fan base out there, so hopefully we have Eagles like how we've had with the Eagles and have it just go crazy. And D Toilet. Oh wow! I can't believe that you're calling Detroit D Toilet.
It's a joke. It's from a Chicago Bears YouTuber, and he's really
No,
annoying.
this is a very familiar friend of ours.
Oh, I know.
But yeah, and so yeah, and so I guess maybe the other thing is also just to compare our rosters. So I'm gonna pull them up real quick. Just give me a second. So I'm gonna show the Commanders first, actually. So what are the Commander strengths? Dan Campbell kind of pointed out it's arguably their receivers. None of them are. Only Scary Terry is really overall good.
What about Dotson?
But we'll see what happens with Ducks, and he's a rookie. And his only. It's not like his first game was pretty good. He got 2 touchdowns. But he only had 3 catches for 40 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it was like a crazy game-breaking game. And again, it was also versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I probably can't even name the corner he faced.
Yeah, good point.
And Curtis Samuel, he's explosive. He's explosive potential, but on a general basis, he isn't that good. He
Ooh,
keeps
Scary
getting
Terry?
injured at Washington. He had one pretty good season at Carolina. Kind of had a solid season 2019, bad season 2018, bad season 2017.
Okay. Oh, you're
So
talking about Curtis Samuel.
huh?
You're talking about Curtis Samuel, right?
Yeah, this is Curtis Samuel.
Okay.
And so I'm just not really concerned with Curtis Samuel. I mean, he's the ability to be explosive, but even in this latest game, he only had 6.9 yards per catch. It's not really that good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really like scared of the receiver core. The only receiver I'm scared of is Scary Terry. There he is. Because this guy, he's actually pretty good. He had 2 catches, 58 yards last week, 1 touchdown, 29 yards per catch. And even in his actual career, this dude has been 1,000 yards 2 years in a row. He had 919 yards for 7 touchdowns his rookie year. So he's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, do you think they're going to do Okuda on Terry McLaurin, or do you think they're going to put Amani on Scary Terry?
If they put a money on him, that's a mistake. It has to be Okuda.
I agree, mostly because Jeff Okuda actually got himself a pretty dang good first game.
Right. I mean, he struggled the last 2 years, but it's a small sample size. So, if I had to pick the better corner to put on Scary Terry, it'd be Okuda.
Well, especially because Amani actually himself had total like solid coverage numbers. but he has a habit of allowing really big plays too many times.
Oh
At least
yeah,
maybe like once per game. Like he allowed that big catch from AJ Brown, and
yeah.
so
Brown just owned him the whole game.
yeah. And then, to be fair, AJ Brown's a good receiver,
Mm-hmm.
so I can't hate him much too much. But Jeff Okuda out here with a pass defense, and he allowed 3.5 yards to target. He had a 0 touchdowns, a 44.4 rating, and 33% completion percentage.
Not gonna lie, it kind of a Slay when he was coming to Detroit.
Yeah, that's what everyone thought he was going to do, huh? And he also had 10 tackles with him. Overall, it's a pretty dang good game.
Mm-hmm.
So that could maybe be it. I mean, Amani, you would actually probably be a bit surprised to hear Amani stats. Well, he did allow a big catch and another, and like kind of like another one. He did have a pass defense. He was targeted 9 times, so the Eagles tried the hardcore push on this dude.
Right.
He did only allow a 22.2% completion percentage and a 59 rating, but he did allow the big catch, which was like for 55 yards or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he allowed 34.5 yards of completion. So,
All
eh.
right.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I mean, to be fair, Philly wasn't exactly trying to be a heavy passing attack that game, and we'll see. Carson Wentz is definitely going to be a passer, so we'll see who's the guy that they target there.
Right. Did you have any concerns with this um secondary going against their receiver core?
No, not really. The only player I think I'm really concerned about is Scary Terry. I was never that high on Doxson all that much in the draft process, and I think Samuel's just your common like outside number two receiver. Like he's capable of being receiver too, but he's just not like a groundbreaking. And I'm not too scared of Logan Thomas. Um, I'm not scared of their own line. I guess what's your thoughts on Carson Wentz? Do you think that he's a guy who's going to get destroyed by our O line?
You mean our D line?
Sorry, our D line. Huh.
Well, he's not Jalen Hurts. When he sees a tad bit of pressure, he takes off.
Mm-hmm.
Wentz is much easier to get to than Hurts. That's for sure. So we should probably have a better day on our D line.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing too, like I'm not too worried about the pass rush. I'm more worried about stopping Antonio Gibson.
Yeah. Well, here's the big thing that I'll say this. Do you think we have a worse defense than the Jacksonville Jaguars?
No. Yeah.
Well, the big thing is Antonio Gibson did nothing versus the Jacks. 14 carries, 58 yards, 0 touchdowns. He's a good pass catcher. I'll give you that, but I think we are capable of stopping Gibson. And apparently he's been having some issues, so he actually lost out the starting job to running back Brian Robinson before he got shot. So apparently he's had a horrible offseason, and he has fumble issues apparently. He had 6 total fumbles, 4 lost last year.
Okay.
So I guess that's could be a thing. I kind of like Gibson. I'm a pretty big fan of him in terms of ceiling and potential, but apparently if he's having a down year and you can't even have that good of a day versus Jacksonville, I think we can contain him.
Yeah, I agree.
The only thing is our linebackers aren't exactly great. I do think Malcolm Rodriguez is pretty good in coverage, so maybe Rodriguez on Gibson or Tracy Walker on Gibson.
Yeah, well, he's our only linebacker we truly have.
Yeah. It's true. The rest are basically just kind of there.
Yeah, mid or trash. There is no in between with the rest of them.
Yeah. And looking at the old line, Charles Leno Jr., he's okay. Sam Cosme, he's okay. Trey Turner, kind of a relic for the most part. He's not exactly the great Pro Bowl guard he used to be.
Mm-hmm.
The center's mid. Norwell, and I don't think I've ever heard of him, but they did draft Chris Paul to try to replace him, so it might not be the best. But just this offensive line, not good. I think Harris and Hutch are going to eat on them.
All right. And
And
I eat.
let's see, What do you think of the names here on defense?
Zoom into that. Oh, the
I'm it.
only two guys that was like blow me away are Payne and Jonathan Allen. Jonathan Allen is questionable, and Montez Sweat solid, not great.
Mm,
Honestly,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I was high on Jamin Davis going in the draft process. He has done absolutely nothing.
Yep. He's just a player who was athletic, and I think a lot of people fell for it.
Ah,
It's kind of like Zayden Collins back at Tulsa. But yeah, no, there's not really any names. It's like, oh yeah, this defense is just marginally better than even Detroit's for that matter.
honestly, they were really good in 2020. Man, they just fell off a cliff.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help that they lost Chase Young. He's out. They lost their backup defensive tackle. He's out. You like Cole Holcomb? Cole Holcomb's a pretty good linebacker, actually.
Solid, yes.
Yeah, he had a pretty good last year. He had 142 tackles and he had 2 interceptions to his name. One of them went for a touchdown. So he's a pretty good He's a pretty good linebacker. Although he had a bad day yesterday. What the heck? He only had 2 solo tackles. But all right, now let's go compare the Detroit Lions now. Hmm. Boom.
We easily have more talent, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. So let's also go with the idea that both teams are going to be healthy since it's only questionables. Besides for guys that are listed as out, so like Kramer's out, Big V's out, Gabinda's out, Amalo's out, Levi's out, and Romeo's out, and Pascal's out. Which, by the way, Julian Okoro is back. By the way, he was a full participant in practice today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Solid rotation. He's been kind of a disappointment. I think Austin Bryant won that
Now,
spot.
Julian Okoro, I actually think could be kind of huge for us to come back because he's now actually a linebacker. So Lions actually have him listed as a linebacker now.
Like, is
And
it?
I think Julian Okoro could be huge for us on mobile quarterbacks because that's actually the one thing he's actually been pretty good about. He was pretty good versus Kyler Murray, Lamar, and Jalen Hurts last season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Julian Okoro could actually be our good Sam. I think he'll be a lot better option than Chris Board. And I think he
Yeah,
could be a lot better for containing those like faster quarterbacks.
100%.
He's got potential. I agree. I think Austin Bryant's looked a little bit more impressive this offseason than Julian ever has in his career.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll just see what happens with Julian. This could be a big year for him. But yeah, I would say our offense is just superior. I think Goff and Wentz. I think Goff's better than Wentz. Wentz struggled versus the Jags. Goff struggled versus the Eagles. But Goff's second half was also really good versus a better defense. I think a lot of it was just miscommunication and bad line play. Swift, if healthy, I think he's absolutely good decimate. If he can decimate the Eagles defense, I think he can decimate Washington. Do you agree? Oop, he got kicked out. All around me are familiar. Oh, he's back.
Oh, I don't know what happened. My bad. What did I miss?
So I was just talking about comparing. So I said Jared Goff, I think, slightly better than Carson Wentz on his worst day. And I was saying that, DeAndre Swift absolutely killed the Philadelphia Eagles defensively. And I think he should kill Washington as well. Do you agree?
Yep, I agree. We're going to
Now,
D-line. Stop it.
what do you say?
There's not really much they have on their D-line.
Yeah.
Anything left, at least.
Yeah. Their defensive tackles are good, but I don't think they're anything that should be like, anything that like the Eagles had any better.
Mm-hmm.
But, I will say this controversial take. I think Craig Reynolds and Justin Jackson should be ahead of Jamal Williams.
Oh, 100%.
Jamal has just shown that he's just a short yardage guy. That's all he is.
Yeah, well, he's that and a hype man. I mean, he's a good personality and goofy guy to have in the locker room.
Mm.
But
Right.
that's about it. And I think he is a goner next year.
Oh, I agree. I don't think we're going to re-sign him.
Nope, me either. I think.
But the big thing I will say for this is he just isn't explosive. He gets like 3 yards a carry, maybe 4 at best, but he doesn't get any explosive runs. He's a great red zone player, I think. I think if we use him in the red zone, it would be useful.
Right.
But at the same time, Craig Reynolds is also good at breaking tackles and getting short yardage, but he's also good at getting explosive plays. Justin Jackson's more explosive as just a runner in general. I don't know. I really feel like Jamal's only RB2 because he's the bigger name, but also for culture reasons.
Right, but I'll say he's a better LeGarrette Blunt.
Yeah, low bar, bro. Okay, so now we're off to receivers. I think our receivers are better. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown, we have DJ Chark, Josh Reynolds. I think those 3 are better than a rookie. And a mediocre receiver too. I just think we have more in depth there. Plus, we have Cephas there. So I think it's just a better receiver core.
Oh yeah, and plus our tight ends are a lot better also.
Yeah, I agree. And then I think our line better, assuming that since these guys are only listed as questionable, I think they'll probably play. I have found that generally when you're questionable, you're probably going to play. Like it's like a 60-40 chance or like 70-30. So I'm assuming these guys are playing our line's way better too. The only question mark is Logan Stenberg, but I will say this: while Logan Stenberg may have played trash week 1, I will. I'm hoping that it's because he just suddenly switched positions and he wasn't expected to start, and it was his first actual start. And I'm hoping that it's just kind of nerves and switching position. That's the explanation for why he sucked last week.
Right.
I do kind of like the new guy we brought in. I think if Stuttenberg has another bad game, that this Philadelphia Eagles offensive guard that we brought in could be a bit better. So hopefully we could see something from that. Defensively, I think we're better too.
Yup. Another thing too, we need to ride the hot hand. Whoever's cooking that game, you gotta keep on going to him.
What'd you say?
Ride the hot hand.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I don't think as much as we love Dan Campbell and his coaching staff, he doesn't truly rode the hot hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree. We need to run the hot hand.
So if Amon-Ra's hot, you go to Amon-Ra. If Swift's hot, you go to Swift.
Yeah, I agree. So, all right. And comparing the defense, Charles Harris and Sweat, I think, are basically kind of like the same player in terms of effectiveness. I think Aiden Hutchinson's better than whoever, what was his name, Jeans Pierre or whatever, from Washington. Kaminsky had a pretty good game 1. He had 3 pressures and a tackle. I think Lee McNeil is not as good as the defensive tackles, but he's still good.
Yup.
We'll see what happens with Brockers. If he's questionable, you could actually maybe see Demetrius Taylor get some playing time, man.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take some Demetrius Taylor.
Yeah.
Demetrius Taylor.
Yeah. Plus, you got Austin Bryant rotating in as well, and then I it's better. And then we have the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who even kind of like played even better than I even would have predicted, Malcolm Rodriguez.
I was always high.
Homie played real well. What were your thoughts on Malcolm Rodriguez's play?
Very impressed. Filling the holes, really solid coverage. Heard rumblings that he didn't play as good. I was like, he played pretty well to me.
Yeah. And so yeah, I mean it was a good game. I don't know if let me try to find the stats earlier for Malcolm. Oh, actually, I just got a notification on Twitter, by the way. DeAndre Swift said his ankle is not a concern at all for Sunday, so he's definitely playing.
Yup.
Okay, Malcolm Rodriguez. Let's see if I can find it.
Got into him.
Yeah, so he had. Oh, of course, he had the little toss that Jason Kelsey has. He had 6 tackles. He was PFF's highest graded rookie linebacker. I know we don't love PFF grades, but that's impressive that a 6-round rookie got that kind of attention.
Mm-hmm.
He had 80.8 in coverage grade. Let's see. Let's see. Sadly, can't find it. Oh wait, I got this. 3 defensive stops. Here it is. All right, so here's the thing that's going to be pretty interesting to see. So this is off of Rodriguez not even playing like, you know, full on like crazy starter snaps. He had 6 total tackles, 3 defensive stops. Which defensive stops are just like quality tackles, like they made stopped a big play or whatever. Maybe like
Mm-hmm.
he had 1 tackle for loss, 1 QB hurry on only 4 pass rushes, and 3 receptions out for only 12 yards. And so that is pretty dang impressive, man. Like, and actually the math, 6 times 17, man. That, that's 102 tackles. That's impressive.
102 tackles. What?
Yeah, and that's probably not even like a full on game that he played bad in. So he could play better now. He's probably gonna get more playing time as the year goes along. He could get a lot more tackles than even I thought he was gonna get. And he only
Well,
played 60% of the snaps, by the way.
how many do you expect? How many tackles did you expect him to get like during the season?
I was expecting like 110. You know,
Well,
rookie linebacker might be a bit small. I don't know if he's gonna get all the playing time in the world. But man, dude, if he's already getting six tackles on only 60% of snaps, that's impressive.
very impressive. Um, he's easily our best linebacker.
Oh, easily. And that I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, that's not. But do we need to upgrade the linebacking core? Yes.
Oh, hardcore, yeah. Alex Angelone had an okay day. He had 9 tackles, which was pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
He just couldn't really make a clutch tackle, sadly. And he did get beat by Jalen Hurts for the first down after getting juked. And he kind of tackled Jalen Hurts really late, where they basically tackled him at the 1.
So
He did play 92% of the snaps. He was pretty good in coverage, at least. He only allowed a 33% completion percentage, 0 touchdowns, and 42.4. So I'll say this. Alex Angelone is not a game breaker, but I don't think he is a liability at the
yeah,
most.
he
And I'll take one linebacker who's good, one linebacker who isn't a liability over 2 bad linebackers like we did last year.
last year. I mean, we had one that was okay, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, I think our safeties are better. Tracy Walker and Elliott, I think, is better than Jermaine Curl, and they're nobody named strong safety. The cornerbacks are slightly better, but they basically have like 2 Amanios. So.
Yeah. So I want to ask you this: do you think the linebacker position nowadays is a little overrated now?
Overrated. I don't. I think maybe some people overvalue it. I mean,
Yeah.
every position's technically important. Like, everybody says don't give a running back a second contract or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that the position like has no value. It just means doesn't have the value it's supposed that it used to. And that's
Right.
because you can find there's a dime a dozen linebackers, there's a dime a dozen running backs, there's a dime a dozen safeties that you can get in drafts, and so it's a lot. And any position can impact in a big game. So it's pretty unanimous that running back is probably like the least valued position in the NFL that isn't including special teams.
Right.
But Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, those guys can absolutely win their games for their teams.
Mm-hmm.
They can make an impact, and I feel like linebackers no different. An elite linebacker can help a defense, but it's also no different than the running back. On a general basis, linebacker doesn't affect a team as much as like an edge rusher or a defensive tackle or a cornerback does.
Right. Well, premium positions nowadays is edge rusher, corner, tackle, and quarterback,
Yep.
and wide receiver one.
Yeah, I'd say here's how the list goes. I'd say it goes quarterback, edge rusher, offensive tackle, cornerback, defensive tackle. Actually, no. It goes receiver 1 over defensive tackle. Then it goes defensive tackle. And then I would say um, some form of interior line, then linebacker, and then running back, and then actually no. I'll do safety instead of linebacker. So safety, linebacker, and then running back.
Safety line.
Yeah, I think safety's a bit harder to find, like a dominating safety.
It's pretty. Safeties come out every year. You don't need a dominant. You don't need an Ed Reed.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. But it's, I mean, do they come out every all year? I mean,
No.
kind of. They just, I just feel like it's a lot harder to find. So I just don't. I value maybe getting a good safety a lot more than I do finding a good linebacker. Like this last draft, there wasn't even a good safety in the first round.
Not even Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, well, heck, Kyle Hamilton's the top safety in this last draft class, and he's not even a starter for Baltimore.
No, that's bad.
Javon Holland was good. Richie Grant sucked.
Yep.
That was the only safety that was drafted to be a starter in the first 3 rounds. Is Javon Holland.
Javon Holland. That's it.
Yeah, Cisco didn't even start last year.
Wow.
So safeties aren't really near as common as linebackers, so that's the reason I would say get those guys in there.
So wait, safeties are not not as common as linebackers.
Yeah, it's still fairly common. Like they're not as commonly good that you can like find in the mid rounds like you can like running back or linebacker, but it's a little bit harder to find.
Yeah. But it's dang near impossible to find an elite quarterback.
Yeah.
It's dang near impossible to find an elite quarterback. Tough to find good edge rushers. And tough to find good edge rushers.
Yeah. I agree.
Huh?
I completely agree. You know, it's that kind of stuff is always a bit more complicated.
Well, there's a reason why they get drafted in the first round. They go early.
Yep. All right. Well, that's going to be the video for today. I'll see you guys later. Thank you for coming on One Pride. It was a good roundtable.
All right. Thank you.
And I'll see you guys later.
All right.